Welcome back to another episode of Inside Icon, where I'm your host, David. And today with Min, we talk about everything going on inside the Icon ecosystem and around it. Min, welcome back to the show. How have you been?
I've been good. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
excellent, actually. Yeah, it's the end of February, shortest month of the year. It feels
Yeah.
like it's only yesterday that you sat down with Fez and talked through, what had happened in January. Um, End of February. How's the month been for you in general?
Uh, Overall, personally good. Nothing changed. Obviously, very excited about this crypto industry or the market coming back. It's
Yeah.
coming back with a vengeance, right?
Wow. That, it's crazy. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's really great to see just people's confidence and just positive energy flowing back into crypto Twitter and our community. And I think bull market always sort of brings out the best in people. So just
Yeah.
good to see uh, you know happy faces again. And the fact that I think most people didn't lose faith in the industry is a good thing. So
Mm.
it's just another reminder that market does its own thing, and the industry will continue to do its own thing as well.
It's
Um,
it's caught me by surprise, actually. I thought I had confidence that markets would turn around, come back, in a certain pace, but the
yeah,
speed at which it is happening right now, um, is surprising to me. I thought it would take more time and that we had, months ahead of us where we would maybe see sentiment turn around, but it's surprising me again now in 2024.
yeah. The market will do its thing. Like I said, it will go up and down, but
Yeah.
the builders have been building, things have been pushed out, new projects have been coming out. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it will for us. It's just kind of a normal course of business, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, other than that, arguably, I would say it's been one of the most exciting months since we launched the project back in 2017. I think we talked a lot about, the last episode, for example, with Fez. We talked a lot about what we are going to do in the near future and for the long term. And um, a lot of those have panned out. So we're actually talking as of today. A lot of those things has happened. So things like economic enshrinement of balance, which sort of sets the new beginning for our community and the project. And I think for me, I guess just having a consumer face focused app or consumer facing app to complement our robust scalable layer one infrastructure that we've been building for a long time. Most of it is already there. It's very scalable, like I said. And paired with also the icons cross chain tech, I think we are well positioned for the future. So very
Yeah.
excited all about that.
Yeah, because last time you spoke with Fez, there were two major network proposals coming up, and they've actually,
Hmm.
the validators have voted. Proposals have passed. On the one side, we have the new economic policy for the Icon
Yeah.
network, and then on the other side, we have the economic enshrinement of balanced into the Icon network, which essentially means that Icon emissions will go towards the balanced platform and can be utilized there as such. Um,
Hmm.
you've mentioned last month that like we're going aggressive, we're more aggressive than ever
Yeah.
before, and yeah, with like now the end of February, these goals, these network proposals, they've already passed, and we're moving in the right direction. What does this like attitude of going aggressive mean for the rest of 2024? Because there's another 10 months to go. Like, what can we what can we achieve, and where do you see it go?
Yeah. I think the community liked the word going aggressive a lot more than when I mentioned it. I
Yeah.
think that was just an expression I wanted to use, as in,
Right.
that we are going to be changing things around, and these things, will be impactful. We're doing a lot of impactful things, right? So,
Hmm.
we want to move things more quickly. And I think just the fact that, again, Balance is a consumer facing app, I think people will feel and experience the changes a lot more in real time. But, when I meant about going aggressive, it was about, using our strength to our advantage. And I think I mentioned this, which is, economic enshrinement is something that's very unique for Icon. Most projects out there don't even have the opportunity to do what we are doing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think that's the part that people don't really understand, is that there's actually like very, very high barriers to entry for this economic enshrinement with Balance. And you know there's there's multiple things that you need to have in order to accomplish this, which is, one is, you need at least a proven layer one,
Hmm.
which also means you need a proven governance with, very supportive validators who are very active. You have a crypto asset like ICX that is listed on all the major exchanges. You need active traders. You need a cross-chain technology like we've built over the years, et cetera, et cetera. So, the
Yeah.
list goes on. But, you know, and I think the most important part is you need a team, or you need several teams that are experts in all of this. So,
Yeah.
you know, it is, we're putting all those together and using it for our advantage is what I kind of meant, as in going aggressive. And I think it will really show on that side, on like when you know, when we're still in the process of putting things together, but we're
Yeah.
already starting to see the changes. And when
Yeah.
things are in full swing, I think we'll see things even like, things will be even more apparent. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think aggressive also means that it's, for us, it's much easier to get real users. I mean, I think easier is you know, I don't want to like use that word. It's
Yeah.
obviously getting users is always challenging, but compared to what we've built, which is the Icon infrastructure, which is, again, it's not a consumer facing application. So when we make upgrades, people don't really feel it, they don't see it.
Hmm.
Whereas Balance, a simple changes to the user UX, just providing a better trading experience is going to be much more apparent. So I
Hmm.
think from a community perspective, they're going to notice, changes much better with Balanced. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, I'll just stop there and let you, yeah,
Yeah. 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 So
I could
that's
go
like
on and on.
the going aggressive is more of a term that says uh that we're gonna make changes that are gonna
Hmm.
be visible to the end user more than it would be with our with Balance, more than it would be with the cross chain tech which is underneath. And I
Right.
do agree. Like I do think a lot of people see that it makes a lot of sense for us to have enshrined that, for the Icon network to have enshrined Balance. Like all those moving pieces are there, and it seems like not anyone can do this. You do need those puzzle pieces that you mentioned, like a stable layer one blockchain. That having that underlying native asset that for us is ICX. So all
Yeah.
of that coming together, it's a big undertaking. And the fact that those network proposals have now passed, like literally we're talking last week and 2 weeks ago, means that it's moving, which is good. What one of the implications is that Balance now enshrined into the Icon network. Can you explain how that offers like an advantage to Balanced as a DEX over other platforms that might offer similar services, but that are not enshrined in any network?
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple things, but I think the most important part is that, when you look at DEXs, the liquidity is very important. And being able to leverage, Icon's current economic policies, which
Hmm.
has existed for a while. Obviously, we've made upgrades throughout the years, but the fundamental part of the being able to use the ICX emissions towards network-owned liquidity. I think that is something that is quite new. um, I would say that's very unique to what we're doing. Something that can't be easily replicated. So, you know, just the fact of being able to have a network-owned liquidity is very important, and we have you know ICX, which is one of the top traded asset in the world. So it is very, very valuable. I don't think people understand how valuable that is. Um, and just being able to use ICX into network owned liquidity and being able to use that to bring back value into the icon ecosystem, I think that's very, very positive. And
Yeah,
yeah, I just can't emphasize enough how this network on liquidity is a big part of just even for the ICX holders, right? It's adds a new dimension to what ICX can do and what kind of benefits that ICX can bring. This value of network on liquidity is captured within the icon ecosystem, so it's not it's very different from staking rewards, where staking rewards could be removed from our ecosystem.
it is
Network
different.
owned liquidity, yeah, is basically assets that are held by all the ICX holders. So,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not value that's driven out. So I think the beauty of the model is theoretically is it should work, and we feel very confident that it will work. And
yeah,
I think we've already seen it already working with we haven't done much, but with the trading fees already burning ICX as is, so that mechanism is already, we got the gears turning and things are already kind of working the way we've envisioned things. So,
yeah.
all signs are good right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The minor proof of concept has already been there indeed. Seeing how balanced as a DEX can move to like a new environment, and it has this like backup by the Icon network. With these asset
Right,
backed asset backed emissions that provide this liquidity that you would otherwise not have. I've seen other platforms try and venture into other spaces and lack, for example, like the liquidity to make it a good experience for the end users. It's
yeah,
always been a big question challenge to
right,
solve, and I think this is a very very promising solution to that. Um,
yeah, it's very, very exciting. So,
yeah, yeah.
um yeah, let's go on.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna ask if you had any previous like stories or experiences with Dexes or working at Dexes, or that you could talk to, seeing as Balanced is a Dex, and it with the economic enshrinement, like it's become a part responsibility of the Icon Foundation now as well to run and manage the Dex as
Right.
a community contributor. Um, but it's there.
Right. I think for DEXs, obviously we've looked at several DEX models in the past. It was part of our white paper, and it's you know, I think we can argue that it was always sort of a part of the plan. With the vision that we had was to have an integrated DEX into the network.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I think the DEX market has significantly changed since we were looking at it back then. So, sort of the unit swap model, having the AMM become more of a superior model compared to some of the other designs that we've seen.
Hmm.
So, I think that's been sort of the industry standard in terms of everything we do. So, there's a lot of innovation that's still happening with the DEXs. Um, but compared to Texas, I have more experience working with centralized exchanges. Obviously, I've had the experience of acquiring one and growing that centralized exchange into one of the largest in South Korea. So, of course, it wasn't just me.
Hmm.
We had like a separate team with a CEO that had a great team, a great leader, kind of driving that. But I would say I had the firsthand experience of front row seat into how a centralized exchange works, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I would say, of course, like DEX would present a different set of challenges, and we're gonna have to figure out some of those as we're kind of moving forward. But you know, it's not just us, right? I mean, the beauty about balance is that uh, we are, the Icon Foundation didn't launch, Balance Network. We had nothing to do with Balance Network. We were just focused on creating better layer one and cross chain technology. So we are going to be one of the contributors here, and we get to work with other community members in building this deck. So I think the beauty about Dex is that there is going to be sort of a community effort, and I think that is going to be a kind of a fundamental advantage in the long run. Um, but outside of just the community, it's similar to centralized exchanges. I would say um, you know, the goal is the same, which is basically to create the best trading experience um, on your platform, right? So
yeah.
I think it might be I think a lot of people might be asking like, okay, so how does balance differentiate itself, or how is it going to be different from a lot of the other hundreds of dexes that are out there? And I think that's the right question. I think when we look at a lot of dexes today, it is just a carbon copy of Uniswap, and it isn't much differentiated. However, I think for us, our cross-chain technology is what actually gives the best trading experience out there. So what we see today for balance is going to be very different from the balance that you're going to see like a year from now. So we're already making contributions and brainstorming new user experiences, designs, and even just pure asset listings, right? Like we're going to be able to bring in so much better assets through our GMP or XCall technology. All of that will be baked into the consumer facing application balance and the customer experience. So
Yeah.
I think what we envision and how it's going to work is far superior trading experience out there. So I think we have internally, we have like very strong confidence that at the very least we'll make cross chain trading experience one of the best, if not the best, in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's on the one side, it's usability and how intuitive is a platform that's design front end design, you could argue, and then on the other side, like good trading experience is liquidity, is having pairs that you can
Right.
trade against that have depth, allowing for like yeah more frequent trades, bigger trades without a lot of slippage. That's like another aspect of a good trading experience, I'd say, which then is
Hmm.
um, supplemented by yeah icons asset backed emissions, making that possible.
Yeah.
I see that, and I'm excited for that as well. That's kind of like the one big network proposal that we've seen pass in the past week. It's the enshrinement of balance, and then on the other side, we have this economic policy for the Icon network itself. We've already talked about um, asset-backed emissions going towards balanced, but there's more changes that have occurred that have been voted through. Um, some of them pertaining to the security of the Icon network and
Hmm.
changes for validators. I don't know, now that it's all passed, do you want to highlight it again and kind of express your expectations with regard to validators of the Icon network?
So are you talking about the recent changes to like things like the balance savings rate and um
The minimum wage for validators
yeah.
and the commission
Okay,
rate. Yeah.
got it, got it. Yeah. I mean, the new economic policy, I think it's well, first of all, it's um very it was great that so many validators were very supportive. I was actually very surprised how little pushback and um you know there's obviously been a lot of community discussions around enshrinement and the new economic policies and but at the end of the day, very it was great that it was very supportive. I mean, we've always had like a very supportive community, but just um, having so many people like this supportive, I think that was surprising. So
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, I think part of that is obviously the one of the bigger changes is the minimum wage, like you mentioned. Minimum wage is a sort of a new development. I can't really recall how we came up with the design, but just fundamentally, it is sort of what we needed for to stabilize the security of our network. I think it's very, like I think one of the things I mentioned in the past is like to make the network sustainable for the long term, like the validators are, very important, obviously. Validators need to be able to keep the network on, run their nodes, regardless of the market conditions. Um, when the market is not great, there's always incentives for validators to churn off the nodes, which creates more, insecure network. Whereas in a great market, obviously everyone wants to churn on their validators, right? So a lot of this is like very profit like motives are there.
yeah,
There's still little things that needs to be kind of figured out, and it's not perfect yet. I don't think anybody has figured out a perfect POS model yet, but I think we're getting there, at least with minimum wage. Um, you know, I think that again, like to get back to your question, I mean, there's obviously a lot of things that we could talk about when it comes to security, but just minimum wage just increases security because more validators are unwilling to. They don't need to turn off their nodes during like when the crypto winter comes around.
yeah,
Um, the big changes, I think, is also gives more responsibilities to validators and also stakers. So I think big part of it is that the validators are going to have to be very attentive in a way that they keep their nodes up, make sure that they're producing blocks, because now there's going to be harsher penalties and things like that into jail time. So there's basically no free lunch anymore.
yeah,
So um, I think that kind of shifts rewards from underperforming validators to validators that are actually performing, which means like the validators that are performing are actually rewarded more fairly, right? Or in the entire ecosystem. So
yeah,
for the stakers, they need to choose active validators, obviously. I think that's the least that they need to do. Again, no free lunch for stakers who are not responsible or checking if the validators that they're delegating to is not producing blocks. If the validators that they're staking to they're not producing blocks, if they're not doing their job, that they're not going to get the rewards as well. So again, there's no free lunch, which means stakers who are actually active and choosing the right validators are going to be the beneficiaries of that, right? So um, if you are a staker and you receive less ICX, it's not, I want to mention that it's not the new economic policy that remains the same. It is basically, other factors such as, who you're delegating to, which kind of affects what you also mentioned, which is commission rates, right? So commission rates are um, I think most stakers should be well aware of how commission rates work. I think all the validators are aware of how commission rates work. So I don't think I need to go too deep into it. But I think most, you know, if you look at our industry, if you look at most POS network, there's commission rates. So, we're sort of going back into kind of conforming with the industry standards here and making a more simpler user experience for everyone so that, I think there are certain things we just, is proven to work. And I think commission rates is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We've put a lot of work into communicating the changes out there as well from the growth team side of things.
Yeah.
Trying to first of all understand these changes and then make sure that we have content that explains it to our community as well. There's some more
Yeah.
risks, I'd say, uh, to staking. If you don't pay attention to who you're voting for, you could, if the validator that you vote for is not actually securing the network, then there are
Yeah.
no rewards for both validator and the stakers there. So I think that's a very good. I'm very happy with that, like change to our economic policy, because it just kind of cleans up a lot of stagnant votes or projects that
Mhm.
still that have like validators registered that aren't actually securing the network. They might still have votes and people don't even realize because they're still getting their rewards. um
Yeah.
yeah, happy with that. The last week that you or last month that you spoke with Fez, at the end of the interview he swung it around and he said, Min, why don't you ask me the questions? And
Yeah. Yeah.
he had a good time chatting about all like the technical integrations and the process that's being made right there. Um, I'm on
Right.
the growth team. So, Min, do you have any questions about what the growth team is going on that I can answer?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, one of the biggest questions in this, in our community is, after the enshrinement, I mentioned that we're going aggressive, so that also means the growth part of everything, right? So I just wanted to understand like what have what have the growth team been working on like in the past month or so? Like, what are you guys planning? So in general, like, how are you guys thinking about taking balance to the next level?
Yeah, good question. Well, as you mentioned, actually, just sticking to balanced. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like you're gonna uh, um, steer this DEX towards growth, but it has a lot of parallels of what you would do. It would be a centralized exchange, right? You're going to look at
Right.
how can you grow, first of all, the experience for the users in terms of usability, ease of trading, and that kind of stuff. And at the same time, you're going to try and grow your portfolio, I'd say, in terms of token listings, balanced offering, cross-chain native swaps. There's a couple of other dexes that kind of do
Mm-hmm.
this, but everyone seems to do it in their own way, and Icon does it in their own unique way. Um, and that's something that we can bring forward and that we can use to our advantage as we grow. And I think that touches off of these. We've got two things going on really here. We're betting on multiple horses here. On the one side, there is the balanced exchange that will grow and contribute and bring value back to the ICX holder. And then on the other side, we have our cross-chain tech. We have our cross-chain framework that kind
Mm-hmm.
of um, allows any project to benefit from these cross-chain opportunities that it offers. The XGold general message passing kind of being on the forefront of that.
Yep.
So yeah, if people have paid attention, you could tell some of the things that have been happening in the background. Lots of content about the recent like validator changes, the voting changes. If anyone has any questions about what it means to stake ICX today, I would recommend just hopping over to the website icon.foundation/blog, where you can read like multiple articles about what kind of changes when you're voting. So lots of content, videos and newsletters going out there. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to the documentation, you'll see that we've completely revamped the icon documentation to have, a modern look and feel, much better
Mm-hmm.
usability. We've brought all the cross-chain general message passing into the same environment. so
Yeah.
that there's what one stop shop for all icon, the full cross chain framework. It's all there. And then as we move forward, we were very happy to see the network proposals now finally pass. And as the tech team kind of works towards finalizing these integrations, that's
Hmm.
when Balanced can kind of update their offering and their front ends, and that's when the growth team can actually take that product and kind of take that to market. So a lot of what's happening right now is thinking about how can we flesh out the balanced user profiles and Dex user profiles in general, and
Hmm.
essentially bring this project to these people who are very likely to love it. So that's a lot of moving parts and things that I can just mention off the top of my head. We have this ICX burn
Hmm.
that we're doing. Um, the cross chain messaging is burning ICX. The layer one blockchain is burning ICX, and balance fees are burning ICX. So we're working
Right.
um, as we move forward with the technology. These pieces are like falling into place, and what we'll be working on is trying to get that in a visible place for the community to actually see what's going on here. Same with the asset-backed emissions, like the Icon network owns Dex liquidity. We want to be able to show what's going on there, and for people to tap in and see how they're benefiting
Yeah.
from Icon and being ICX holders, like what the network is doing. So yeah, those are a lot of moving pieces that we're currently either thinking about or working on. Um, Hope I didn't
Hmm.
ramble there.
No, I think that's all good. Yeah, I mean, I think the growth team has been, formulating and brainstorming like new ideas. I think those are all, quite evident in, the community, the content that we're seeing, including what we're doing right now, which is Inside Icon, right? So, um, I think, yeah, it's been great. I think the community is quite satisfied with um, the content that's been like like content has been very informative. Um, so I think people are understanding what's happening in the Icon ecosystem. I mean, obviously, we don't want to be in this like echo chamber with just the Icon community. We want to bring in new community members, new users, and I think that's what Balance is going to be doing, right? So
Yeah,
I think the beauty about Balance is that we're already getting a lot of requests, and we're already talking with projects that want their token listed on Balance. So we're gonna we're gonna continue to roll that out together with the Balance community and other developers and things like that. But
yeah,
on the other side, I mean, you know, it's just very natural for uh, these tokens once they're listed, just cross promoting things and more people knowing about Balance. I think it's just as we list more assets, it's just going to be a natural progression.
yeah, yeah.
um, but perhaps you could talk about other things that you're thinking about in terms of initiatives. I don't know if you could share those yet, but I'll kind of leave that up to you. But if you have any thoughts or any ideas on how to bring in more users.
Yeah, definitely thoughts and ideas there. There's a lot of like conventional growth marketing tricks and tactics that we can apply to Balance as a Dex. It's a
Right.
wonderful product in its in its strength of being able to go cross chain and kind of tap in to all these um, different like crypto narratives that we see go around. I'm pretty excited for us to be able to move from talking about and creating content about what's right now we're talking about what's happening like inside the network and what are the changes that are occurring for stakers and validators and the network. um, and I feel like once we've moved past the phase of getting the network proposals through and explaining to the community what's going on there, we can start to look forward and we can start talking about where we're taking Balanced. And there's this big narratives or storylines in play in 2024 alone. There's big stuff, there's cool stuff happening. There's DeFi on Bitcoin these days. You know, there's a lot of activity on that side of
Mhm.
the pond, and then there is the entire Ethereum ecosystem with its staking and restaking and platforms popping up
Yeah.
left, right, and center that kind of tap into that and offer utility there. And balanced in the middle with its cross-chain capabilities can cater to that. Like it can find a spot and bring its users and its community that like exposure to these
Mhm.
cross-chain, I don't know, narratives, if you will. So I'm pretty pumped to see balance kind of move into that maturity level where it can create exposure and utility for its community away from the Icon network, but on other chains. Currently, we're on Archway. We're moving to Avalanche, if I've got that right. Binance
Yeah.
Smart Chain, like it's
Mhm.
injective. It's going to move. It's going to start with like deployments, and it'll be accessible through smart contracts, and then afterwards there will be user front ends for people who want to go in with their with their browser and use it. But as it kind of like moves, and that's the strength of, you know, the Icon cross-chain framework, like balanced using the hub and spoke model is able to deploy on these different blockchains without having to deploy all their contracts. Like it's a subset of
Yeah.
contracts, and once you've done it once, you can do it again. And it's I don't want to say minimal effort, because there is effort and development that
Right.
goes into it, but yeah, as it gets going, you get that, I guess, flywheel of opportunity and possibility, and that's when we will be talking, you know, about um yeah, I don't want to say much more interesting utility that balance can offer, but different to what it is now. And I'm really looking forward to getting to that place. um
Mhm.
yeah, and when we talk about just, you know, getting more users to balance, like one of the, you know, key things is like if your current user base is having a great time using your product, they will tell their friends, right? That's kind of like the
Yeah.
standard
Right.
philosophy. And if you make it easy for them to tell their friends, if you kind of help them tell their friends, they will tell their friends more often and faster. And hopefully we can make balance such a good and usable product that people will share in the first place, and we can turn our users into ambassadors, and from there on you go. And that's just like this little piece of growth marketing that we're also excited to get into a bit further down the line.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. I mean, that's great. I think we're a little short on time now, but
Yeah.
anything else you want to cover?
uh, from my end right now, think we're good. Curious to see where we will be in, you know, we will speak 2 months from now. Next month, it is a Fez with the tech team again. Usually
Yeah.
I ask you, I say, before we wind down, anything else you want to mention, or anything that caught your attention that you'd like to talk about before we leave?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to say is for the community members to help out in making the balanced, um, one of the top fixes. And I think part of that is, just helping to talk, talk to the balance community about how to improve the products, why the product works for you or doesn't work for you. Just giving like very honest feedback on the product itself is going to be the most important part, I think. And with the HANA wallet, which is going to be fully integrated for balance, I think that's going to be a huge improvement in user experience
Yeah,
when you're trading on your mobile phone, for example. So
yeah,
all that will be like, we're trying to make things as seamless and painless as possible. Still, I think the applications that we use today are just too, crypto native. It's very difficult to use. It's not
yeah.
easy as a Web2 product. And where we want to get to is making things as easy as a Web2 product, right? So try to help us in, giving that feedback on and and help improve the product. And I think that is sort of the first step into, what we kind of envision is going to be a great product in the future.
Yeah. That is very valuable, and I don't think current balanced users shouldn't be surprised if you see like requests for feedback or surveys pop up in the near future, where we're trying to figure out what it is that people love about the platform and what could use improvement, because it's just the most straightforward way to going about creating
Right.
the best decks out there. Ask your users. So
Exactly. Yeah.
all right.
Uh,
Well, yeah, I think with that we can close it off on the 40-minute marker for this month. Next month it's going to be Min and Fez again, talking about everything that goes on inside Icon. And for now, I guess thanks for listening. And if you're still here, do like and subscribe. And then we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.